is I was looking up some statistics when it comes to asking for referrals and for reviews. And here it says sales rep who consistently ask for referrals and reviews tend to be significantly more profitable. And that's the name of the game, guys. We're here to make money and help people than those who don't. Research shows that salespeople leveraging referrals can earn up to 4 times more than those who don't ask for them. Moreover, companies with formal referral programs see 86% increase in revenue growth. And it's the name of the game is consistency. So the problem that I've identified whenever it comes to agents who don't ask for referrals, it's the consistency aspect, right? And the main reason is that they are committing it to memory, right? You're trying to remember, okay, you have a script or you have a process or maybe you have a checklist. Well, that can be effective, but there's too much that can fall through the cracks and then you forget and you're like, oh man, I haven't asked my last 3 or 4 clients for, referrals or a review. And what ends up happening is you forget and it becomes a habit. I've done it myself in the past. So what we did is we created an easy solution. So the first thing before I get into showing you how to build this out and how to do this, again, so once you set it up, you're done, you're ready to move forward. Like you don't have to revisit this again. The first thing that you want to do is you want to gather your links. So in the software that I use the Go High Level software and I white labeled it. So it's all built out for life insurance agents. There's a section called reputation. Inside of your reputation, the first thing that you want to do, if you have this, is go to your settings. And then when you hit your settings, you want to make sure that you do 2 things. So number 1 is if you have a Facebook business page, connect your Facebook business page, right? Because you can get reviews on there. And then if you want to take it even a step further, set up a Google My Business account, right? Basically, I set up a I work from home, as you can see my background, but I have a Google My Business that is for the Chicagoland area. I'm based out of Chicago. I don't have a specific address, but I have a Google My Business. So if somebody looks up my business or looks up my services in Chicago, they'll find me. So if you don't have a Google My Business, don't worry, you can register one for free. But in the meantime, at the very least, what you can start today is a Facebook business page. You're going to need a business page for that. And what you're going to need out of here is really simple. What you're going to need first is these links here. So if you're using your Google My Business, get that link there. That's your review link. And then if you're using Facebook, get your Facebook review link, which is right here. And that's what you do to start off. So you get those inside of here. You can go to request and you can simply just, copy and paste the link or whatever you want to do. But get that link. So that's number 1 is copy and paste your Google review link or your Facebook review link. Once you have that, step number 2, we're prepping to do this because this takes literally 5 minutes. Step number 2 is if you're not if you're like me, I'm terrible at typing stuff up. So what we're going to do is we're going to automate a text message and we're going to automate a email that goes out to your clients as soon as whatever stage of the pipeline you want it to, this will go out. So for me, again, I'm not good at writing things out. My grammar is not the greatest. I can't spell. So I simply went into ChatGPT and I said, hey, ChatGPT, can you create an email and text to send out to my new life insurance clients for a Google review? So obviously, if you're the one using Facebook, instead of putting Google there, you'll put Facebook review. And then I put add a section for the link. So what I did there was I basically told ChatGPT to create my text message and to create my email for me. And I put, hey, leave a little section there for that link that I just copied. So what it came out with was this email, the subject line, we'd love your feedback. Help us with a quick review. And then in the review, it says, dear, obviously going to put the client's name there. I hope this message finds you well. It's truly a pleasure working with you to help secure your life insurance coverage. At the Legacy Crusade Financial, you can put the name of your agency. Obviously, it's going to ChatGPT is going to do that for you. We always strive to provide our clients with the best service and experience possible, and we value your feedback. So it goes on to basically ask for the review, has a place where you can insert that link here, put your name there, phone number, email address, whatever you want to include. And then it also provided a text message here as well, a shorter version of that it can send through text. So I like to send, when I automate things inside of my my pipeline, I like it to be an email and a text combination because sometimes people don't see their emails or vice versa. Sometimes people ignore their text and they always open their email. So once you have this created, the next step, which is step number 3, is go into your CRM and look for the automation section. So you're going to go to the automation section, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to see this button here that says create workflow. So you're going to start from scratch. So create workflow, start from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this software, this automated software, when this happens, do this, right? So my trigger, whenever I do this, my triggers are always pipeline changes, meaning what a pipeline stage change is when you have somebody in your pipeline, and I'm going to show you my pipeline in a minute. You have your, new client submitted, policy approved. You have, policy delivered, policy paid out. Like however you break your pipeline down, that's how I break mine. When it gets to a certain stage, when you move it to a stage, it's going to trigger all this automation to go out. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, but just to give you a preview, I literally take my lead of my client and I put them from app paid to policy delivered, and it triggers this whole automation. So once you're in here, you basically tell which pipeline you want to use. So I'm going to do it in the pipeline. So number one, you want to make sure that you're doing it within a specific pipeline. And my pipeline is going to be my client pipeline. And then I'm going to add the stage. So the stage that I want is pipeline stage. And I want this to be triggered. I want this automation to be triggered when my policy is delivered. So why do I do that? You can pick whatever stage you want. Could be when the app is paid, is because I likely just had a conversation with my client and I delivered that policy, whether it be over the phone, whether it be in person. Once I had that conversation with my client, the policies are delivered. I feel it's best to now I can ask. They went through the process. They got their policy. They're comfortable. They have that physical copy. They have something tangible. They like the experience, most likely, right? Now I feel comfortable asking them. So then once you're done, again, you want to look for pipeline stage change. You want to do it in your client pipeline and make sure you always have a client pipeline, because I notice some people only have a lead pipeline. But once your clients become clients, that you can still cultivate them, drip on them just to build that relationship, and you get more out of them, more policies when you stay in contact with them. So having that client pipeline allows you to stay in contact with them and remember them. And then again, you pick the stage. What stage of the pipeline do I want to trigger this automation? And it's policy delivered, right? Then I hit save. So the first thing I do here is I want to add a wait period. I usually add a wait period. You type in wait. And I want to do a wait period of 1 day. So just to kind of give you the picture of how this looks, I sat with the guy yesterday or the woman yesterday, or I was on the phone with them, delivering their policy, going over it with them. And then I changed their pipeline status once I got off the phone with them, and the automation is set for asking for the reviews. Then I hit save. So I want this to kick off 1 day after the pipeline trigger. The next thing I want to do is I want to send off an SMS. So I go into my plus button, right? I look for SMS. So what this is going to do is going to wait a day, and then it's going to send a text, right? So since this is a demo, I'm going to go to my Google review. I'm going to my chat GPT, and I'm going to take that text that I just created, and I'm going to, if I can learn how to use my mouse, I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go and paste it in here. Now, the only other thing I would change is obviously you don't want it to say client's name. So whenever you're especially inside of a CRM like this, like Go High Level or Life Agent CRM, you always want to add custom values. What this is going to do, custom values, is going to pull the information from the client's profile, and it's going to insert it. So I'm going to pull this contact's information. I'm going to pull their first name. So now when this automatically sends out, it's always going to say hi, specifically the first name of that client. And it's going to say, this is your life insurance agent. Legacy, it was great working with you. And I'm not going to put the link because this is just a demo, but you would copy and paste your link to your Google review or your Facebook here, right? And then you would hit save action. So now your text message is ready. The last step of this is just saying, hey, I also want to send an email. So you hit the plus button underneath that, type in email, and you hit send email. Now, in here, they're going to ask you for a little bit more. right? They're going to say, who is this from? You could just type in your name if you're the only person using this, or if you have multiple users, like you have a sales team that's also using the CRM with you, you can put the user's name. That's the user. The user is usually the person who's assigned to that lead. That's a little bit more advanced for the people who are running a team. I have several team members on here, so I use user. But if you wanted to, you could simply just type in your name. Hey, Anthony. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to do that here. So in that from section, when the person receives the email, they'll see whatever you put there. They'll see, your name or whatever it is, whoever's assigned to that lead. You can put your email here. I usually either put user email, meaning I put whoever's assigned to their email there. It automatically populates that, again, because I have a sales team. But you can just manually insert your email. In the subject, I go back to my chat GPT. I copy the subject line. I'm still not, still don't know how to copy stuff. And then you hit paste right there. And then down here at the body, I don't change anything else. I keep it simple. I go back to ChatGPT. I copy this and I paste it in the body. And then obviously, again, this is just for demonstration purposes, so I'm not going to change everything here. Always, whenever you take something from ChatGPT, you want to always go in and make sure that you take out anything that's generic, meaning that a fillable section, because you don't want your client to get a template or something that says, hey, insert name here, things like that, or hey, from your put name here. You don't want that. So I always, audit it. So again, here, you want to make sure that you add custom values. And again, custom values pulls from the contact's information so that it's unique to that person. And then again, you go through here, you insert the link there, you put your name, whatever you want to do, but you customize it and you finish it and then you read it. If you ever wanted to test it too, you can go here and test it, send it to yourself. You can put your email there, hit send test, so you can see it. Once you're done with that, you hit save. And then what happens is, obviously you hit save here. You would hit publish. I'm not going to publish this one because this is a generic one, but you would hit publish here. And then let me show you the next part of how would this work with, your contact. So I'm going to show you something. I'm going to go to my opportunities here, and then I'm going to go to my client pipeline, right? As you can see here, these are my different stages of my pipeline, right? I move them over just manually. App submitted, app approved, declined, or incomplete, right? App paid. So let's assume that this app was paid, and then now you're at the phase where you're delivering the policy. This is your client. So how would this automation trigger? So you just got off the phone with your client, or you just sat in your meeting. You either go into your cell phone, because you can do this in your cell phone or from your computer, and you literally just take this contact and say, drop it in there. Boop. Once that's what's considered a pipeline stage change. Once they're in policy deliver, you basically, that'll set the trigger off. And then what I do is I added an extra step. I make sure that message goes through. I just look through my contacts, my conversations here. You can see on the left, make sure it went through. And once it went through, I move them to referrals requested, because I want to make sure that the policy was delivered, referrals requested. But what initiates it is that pipeline stage change. When I drop them into policy delivered, then everything is set off. Everything starts to set off. They start getting the messages. They start getting the emails. So that's how you do for the reviews. So just to recap, the first thing you want to do is gather the links, your Google review link, which again, if you have the Life Agent CRM, it's under reputation. It's already there. Or you can just go to your Google yourself and take your link for people to give you reviews, or your Facebook review link from your business page. The second thing you want to do, if you're not good at coming up with your own emails and text messages, some of you guys are, you can create one yourself using ChatGPT, or if there's other fancy softwares out there that people have recommended. Or even if you're good at making it yourself, you still want to have it typed out. You don't want to open the automation section and then have to be typing in there thinking about it. But that was step number 2, is coming up with what you're going to put on there. And then step number 3, you go to the automations and you create that from scratch. So you create what I just showed you from scratch. Now I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do this time instead of for the reviews, simply for the referrals. And this actually gets easier as you go. So I have everything in my client folder. So the one that I just created was, I believe it was called, let's see, which one was that one? Go back real quick. By the way, if you have any questions in the meantime while I do this, drop them in either if you're on the Facebook Live, drop them in there, or if you're on the Zoom, just unmute yourself. Oh, here it is, Google review. So you just created this automation, right? For getting your reviews. Mine was a Google review, yours could be Facebook. You don't have to recreate the whole thing over again, right? You could just hit clone or duplicate workflow. It'll duplicate that. And instead of saying Google reviews, I'm going to say referrals. So now I know that this one is going to be for my referrals. And the reason I duplicate it is it's going to be the same thing. I'm just going to make a few tweaks and I'm going to change the email and the text message. So now that I changed it, I duplicated it, right? I go back into the new one and I edit it. So it just saves me time, right? Because what I just went through, I created the trigger, I created the first message, all that's done. Now all I got to do is, hey, the trigger's the same. It's pipeline stage change. Now the only other thing I would change is in the wait period, I don't want him to get a message, he or she to get a message the same day where they're like, yeah, I just received a request for a review. Now they want referrals. So I changed the wait time to 5 to 7 days. Let's just say, just for example purposes, 7 days. So they're gonna get this is gonna start in 7 days. You could change it to whatever you want, but I just wanted to separate it so I don't overwhelm the client. And then once I'm done with that, the only other thing I got to do is go in here, and then I got to say, go to ChatGPT. And there's a beautiful thing. So this same ChatGPT thread that I asked for the Google reviews, I can say, do the same, but asking for referrals. So it'll do the same thing, but it'll just create it in basically the verbiage of asking for a referral. So then it'll create that email, that text message, same thing. I'll copy this, go back to this box here, the SMS, and then I'll take out what I had because since I duplicated this, it has all the stuff from the old one. And then I'll paste the new stuff there. Again, because this is just a demo, I'm not going to change, but make sure your links are there. Make sure everything that you have, the client's contact information. Same thing for email. Go to email, take that subject line. Man, I don't know how to copy and paste. What's wrong with me? And then go to subject line, paste, and then I would select, go back to ChatGPT. I'll grab the email, copy it, then I will select all this, and then paste that. So obviously audit it, make sure you go through it and you go back here in the client's area and then you make sure that you grab custom values in here so that it has that specific client's first name in there. Obviously, make sure you add your Google review link or your Facebook, whichever one you want. Obviously, you want to put your name there, obviously customize it. And then you want to hit save. And then now in less than, probably did that in 2 minutes because I duplicated it. So now when a pipeline stage change happens, so like I showed you before, it went from my app paid, how I have mine. By the way, you can customize your pipeline to how you do it. When I first got my pipeline, I didn't like the order it was in. So I asked myself, I wrote down on a piece of paper, what's my flow, right? I usually submit the app, I get approved or decline. So this is basically what will happen is I'll take that person from app paid to app delivered, policy delivered, and it'll set off the trigger for this person to start receiving the messages either in a day or in 7 days. Now, again, you can customize that. You can say, hey, day one, I want them to receive the referral one. Day 3, I want them to receive the request for review. Or maybe you're that person who's confident enough to say, hey, I want to send both of them on the same day. Cool. And then give your client in the policy delivery meeting appointment, give your client the heads up. Hey, I'm going to send you some, some emails and some text messages. Be on the lookout for those. And then once you hit save, you hit publish, and then you can even test it out. So how I test mine out, again, I go back to my pipeline and I make sure that I received the message. So I usually test it out on myself. I put myself in the pipeline by hitting add opportunity. I put my name, email, and then I move myself to this section here. So again, there's different ways you can change the policy delivered. Different ways you can change the pipeline statuses here. The easiest way is just moving it manually. But let's say you wanted to do it another way. You can click on opportunity. When you click on opportunity, it brings up all these fields. You go down to policy delivered, this stage, and you can use this drop-down menu to change. If you want to do it that way, do it that way. And then the other cool thing is you can put a value. So then you can start knowing how much AP you have been submitting for the year. So for example, if this client, I submitted 1,200, this hypothetical client, if this was a 1,200, AP case, I can put the 1,200 here. However you want to track that. If you want to put actual commissions, you could put what you got paid on that. But you can put that here. And what'll happen is in this bucket here, it'll show you the total amount of all your clients added up. So you can think, man, this month I did, 200,000, or this year I did 200,000 so far. It'll tally up all of that. Now this is just one tiny aspect of the automation in here. This thing does everything. And just to give you an example before I end the call, I have automation set almost on all these. So here's an example. When I take a lead from my lead pipeline, which is here, I'll show you. I have my pipeline for my ads and my purchase leads, right? If I'm either running Facebook ads or if I purchase the leads, I have a pipeline for that. I have my warm ones, just my referrals. Because my verbiage is different to each. I don't talk to them the same. My referrals are more friendly. With my purchase leads, I'm like, hey, let's set up an appointment. It's a little different. But when I take my lead from either here, this pipeline or this pipeline, and I put them in my client pipeline, when I submit an app, they get an email. And the email says, hey, we have submitted a policy for this, this, and this, for this amount a month. And it's all automated where when I go to that person's contact information, I put their policy number, I put how much their monthly premium was and their draft date is, and what we submitted as. I add all that in their contact. When I send that email out, when I don't even send it. When I drop that person in this pipeline stage from being a lead to app submitted, it'll send that person an email and it'll be specific to them. Hey, John, hey, it was great, chatting with you today. We submitted with, whatever company, how much the monthly premium was and what we applied for, death benefit and all that. All because I entered all that on their contact information. The automation pulled all that from their contact information and sent it to them. And then the same thing when I go from app submitted to app approved, I add what they were approved at. Were they approved better than applied for? Were they approved, same as applied for? So when they get an approval email, it'll include all that. Hey, congratulations, you've been approved for, and it'll have a section where it pulls from the contact list. But I have automation for my entire thing because I can't be sending out emails all day. If an app if it's an annual review, guess what? It's set to put on the anniversary date of that person's policy being enforced. It's going to send an email automatically, my system, saying, hey, guess what? You're up for, your policy review. So what I showed you is just a snippet, and it comes all built, by the way. So you don't have to do this if you're looking for a CRM and you're looking for automation. We built this out. All I have to do is customize it to your name, your email, and build it out for you. But again, this is just a snippet. I wanted to show you the power of automation in your business that you can start leveraging just to save time and then build consistency, right? Those two there will make you more profitable throughout the year. So if there's any questions, I'm going to be on for a few seconds. If there's any questions, drop them in the chat. Or if you're on the Zoom, feel free to unmute yourself. I know we got Leo on. Leo, you have any questions for me, man? Looks like we're good. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end it. The recording is going to stay in the group if you need to rewatch it again. Go ahead and feel free to rewatch it.